We're taking people to NASA because that's where things move to cloud.
I love it. They all love recurring revenue. And how much of your business is recurring revenue? How sticky are your customers? How happy are your customers?
Welcome to part 2 of this very special episode of Sunny Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is John Pagliuca, President and CEO of Enable. In the second half of this episode, they chat about the concept of entrepreneur versus professor, customer experience point of view, advice for MSPs looking to reach their next growth phase, and so much more. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kala. Over to you, Sunny.
Yeah, so cloud is big and it's going to continue to grow. And for that reason, and learning from your team, John, next year, the IT by Design annual conference that we're doing, so we outgrew our facility here, the property that we had in Jersey City. Now we're doing it in Florida, and it's going bigger. So there are 2 hotels with the conference room, entire booked for next year. And guess where we are taking people for the experiences that we create, just like the Statue of Liberty to the MetLife Stadium. We're taking people to NASA because that's where things move to cloud.
I love it. I love it. That sounds great idea. Fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Hey, Sonny, you're taking them beyond the cloud, Sonny. You're taking them beyond the cloud.
It's beyond the cloud. So, you have to move things a little bit beyond wherever you want to go. So at least you can probably land somewhere, like even if you are like at a 70, 80%. Okay. So you also talk about entrepreneur versus a professor. And can you talk to me a little bit about that concept?
Yeah, sure. So, I came from a small business. My dad had a small business himself. And so, I always respect the entrepreneur and not the professors. I respect professors too, from all my professors that are out there. But I think it goes back to that winning and learning type of thing. A professor, for the most part, is talking in theory and really walking through somebody a long-term concept. Where that entrepreneur has to learn real time, and if they're either winning, they can continue to win. If they're not winning, they need to pivot their business and learn from that. But if you're not learning, you're not going to win. Then that's a loss. You either win or lose. We don't want to lose.
Yeah.
We want to win. And the best entrepreneur for me is the one that is staying agile, taking their business practices and learnings and applying that to that malleability that I was talking about earlier. So I have tons of respect for entrepreneurs. I look at what you have done. And your business, what IT by Design, is a quintessential example of a great entrepreneur. And my guess is, Sonny, while I'm sure you have a lot of good ideas, I'm sure some of the ideas might not have panned out perfect for you either. And I'm sure you had to take some ideas, adjust them a little bit, and learn and continue to evolve. And so for me, it's that entrepreneurial spirit, that practicality, and constantly adapting your business model to fit what's going on in the landscape, having your ear on the ground, so to speak, to do that. But you're probably a better person to speak about entrepreneurship than I am.
No, we both are. We both can. And you're so right with the experience learning, that experience transformation that you just kind of learn from your negative experiences, which they are part of life. And as long as you take that negative experience and learn from it and get to the winning side. So that's, there's a saying that life will never stop teaching you and you should never stop learning. And it's just learning from the experience versus, we should be learning from books, podcasts, everything. But one of the, like, at least personally for me, what impacts me the most is experience learning. Because the way it marks me, even if I start marking the book 2-3 times, it still will not mark me the way my experience will mark me.
Yeah, completely agree, Sonny. Like, our experiences put an impression. I've got 4 kids. I know you've got three boys. 3 boys, right? And so I love bringing them to other countries and other cultures because what I tell them is that it changes the shape of their mind forever, and that's what an experience and experience learning does. And as business owners and founders and entrepreneurs, it's that experience that has that impression that you're talking about. It changes our mind, the shape of our mind forever, hopefully for the better. And then we can continue to learn and grow from it. So I completely couldn't agree with you more.
And John, can you share your thoughts in terms of customer experience? It is going to be even more important in 2023 because when it's hard to win a new business, it's better to retain what you have. And that comes from customer experience. So from the recession proofing that we're talking about today, the customer experience is part of your thinking. So can you talk to us a little bit about what MSPs should be doing differently in 2023 from customer experience point of view?
Sure. And look, this is just sound business fundamentals, right? It's much cheaper and much more cost effective to keep a customer than to go land a new customer, right? We know that it's expensive to land a new customer. And so, first of all, there's just good business fundamentals. You always want to, if there's two phones that ring, an existing customer or a prospect, you always need to, as an MSP, you always need to answer that existing customer phone call first. That's what we preach here at Enable. Why? Because you need to make sure that you're retaining and keeping that customer. That's the baseline for how anyone can grow. And so the difference between an okay customer experience and a great one, I think of like some hotel chains that do it right, like a Ritz or something like that. And they're always trying to think they're putting themselves in their customer's shoes and trying to go above and beyond. We've all had experiences. Sunny, I'm sure you've been at a restaurant. I've been at a restaurant where the food might have taken a little bit longer than it should have, right? At that moment, that restaurant has two choices. They can treat you like a customer or they can increase the hospitality. And the ones that say, oh, I'm sorry, sir, you have to wait another 20 minutes. Or the guy that comes over and says, hey, sir, you know what? The drinks are on the house. Here's an appetizer. I know your kids are been waiting for a half hour hungry. Here's an appetizer to keep them going. It turns a negative experience into a positive one. So the level of hospitality that we need to put on to our customers, we try to do it at Enable. We don't get it right all the time, but we try to. And for the MSPs, if they can keep that customer focus first, and how do I go above and beyond? Because even as I say often, Sonny, we all make mistakes. Every one of us make mistakes. What happens next is what's most important. You can turn a negative situation to a positive one just by putting that hospitality lens on and putting yourself in that customer's shoes. So for the MSPs that are out there, something happens, they have an outage, one of their technicians did something wrong, they knocked out their customer's productivity for a little bit, they didn't do the right backup. You have an opportunity there, not just to make it better, but to go above and beyond. You can turn a negative experience into a positive one. And for those that do that, they have a customer and a loyal customer for life. And that's for me is the name of the game. It needs to be a long-term customer journey, not just what Wall Street wants for 90 days, but what we want for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road.
Yeah, no, I know that's so kind of important, like super important, I should say. So, John, what's your advice? Like, if there's only one piece of advice for MSPs looking, to get into that next growth stage, what would that be?
Balance. I think a balanced approach on how they get to that next growth stage is important, right? And so I think they need to balance their ability to grow their existing customer base and land new customers. I always think a balanced growth plan is important. If I had to, the one thing I always, when I talk to MSPs, one thing I'd probably emphasize a little bit more is this is like a Jack Welch quote, I think, but failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So not building your plan with balance now. We're at the end of 2022. We're getting into 23. There are some clouds ahead. We have to find those silver linings, and we need to have a balanced plan so that they can hit their growth numbers. There's another one for you, Sonny. It's like your business plan by design or business plan haphazard, right? And so for me, the MSPs that are building their business plan by design are the ones that will navigate this and come out stronger out of this little bit of a dark clouds that we might be having, and they'll be able to be a better MSP and a better business owner and a happier team as a result of it.
Yeah, I know we're running out of time here, but last question before you go, John. So what are investors looking for, when they're looking at these MSP prospects? Yeah. So what exactly are they looking for?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple things. Three things come to mind. One, they're looking for a strong leadership team and a management team. At the end of the day, we're a people business, right, Sonny? And so, number one, they want to see a founder or a management team that is committed to the cause and not looking to get a paycheck and leave. So that's number one. Number two, they all love recurring revenue. And how much of your business is recurring revenue? How sticky are your customers? How happy are your customers? Are you retaining and growing your customers? That recurring revenue, and that's the second part. Number three is, look, how profitable you are. Money is no longer free, Sonny. The days of money being free are over with the Fed interest rate. So being profitable is important. So how do you improve your profitability? Automate, outsource where it's not an easier task, increase your profit, right? The upper quartile of an MSPs are making anywhere from 15 to 25, 30% EBITDA. If you're not doing that, think out how ways you can outsource, how you can use technology better, how you can standardize. So if you have a great management team, you have this sticky recurring revenue, you're treating your customers right, and you're profitable, then you can make your pick as to, how you want to exit, what type of acquisition you want to be, what kind of target you want to be, what's that chapter. And my last bit of advice for MSPs is M&A is not the end date. So think about the operational plan after acquisition. That's going to be really important for you and your teams and your workforce. It's not just, you don't run just the day of, we got sold on January the 2nd. What happens on January the 3rd? And making sure that you have an operational plan, again, back to that planning exercise post-acquisition. So if you do that, it's a positive thing. There's a lot of M&A out there. It'll continue, I believe, Sonny, in 2023. It's a good thing for the industry. We shouldn't fight it. We should embrace it. We embrace it here at Enable. I know you guys do as well, and it's obviously it's a positive for everyone.
Yeah. And John, once again, thank you so much for coming to my podcast. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your friendship. And what you're doing for this community is so wonderful. And your approach to add value to the channel, I love that. So thank you so much. And you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Sonny. You too. And likewise, you and your team have been nothing but spectacular partners. And maybe I'll come with you to NASA. Maybe you and I will go to space together.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, John.
Take care.